My name is Jeremy Smith, and I'm filming this segment today for Bring Change to Mind. I had, back in June 2011, my local newspaper did an article on my personal development project, a personal development project that I started back in 2008 at the age of 35. I had noticed when evaluating my life that there was a pattern of taking 2 to 3 steps forward progress in my life with my career, business, finances, relationships, and then the pattern would be somehow that I would end up taking 3 or 4 steps backward, and always finding myself in the same place of quality of life that I was living that really, wasn't the quality of life that I felt like I deserved. And at the age I was, that I was disappointed with the things I hadn't achieved, and I really wanted to put an end to it and find and go to the root of it as to why I was having this self-sabotage. And also too, I have had a lifetime of depression, and at this period of time, 2008 through 2013, 14, I started having a great deal of anxiety problems, and it seemed to be the trigger that anything that I would do that would make a phone call or connect with someone that might be an opportunity to grow and make progress in my life, that's when the anxiety would kick in full throttle and find myself reverting back to tactics that kept me from going forward in life. And I wanted to put an end to it. So 2008, I decided to do this personal development project of mine, and I had a fear, and being a pupil of Tony Robbins, I said, you know what, I'm going to use this fear so I can find and get to the root of what's going on in my life. And that fear was, I thought, because of my finances, that I could be a homeless person. So I decided to purposely become a homeless person and live in literally a vehicle of pain to try to then learn what it was that I was doing with myself. And also partly too, as a personal trainer and life coach, I was working with clients at that time that it was very clear to me that I was seeing how they were creating their failures, not being able to succeed in achieving their fitness goals because of their own doing. And I started becoming more and more of a life coach, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite by helping them get a better quality of life by using my life coaching techniques and not be living a good quality life myself. So I wanted to be an example for my clients, one, and also try to figure things out for myself, and also figure out my purpose in life as well. So anyway, started living in my car, and 3.5 years later, I got to a place where I made growth and progress to connect with the writer of the newspaper article that's titled "Bodybuilder Has Inner Strength." And the irony is that I gave on our first meeting that writer a letter that I had written out of the 4 things I wanted to accomplish and achieve from getting this story out there, this personal development project of mine. And one of the things I wanted to achieve was to help those who could not help themselves. And the last 1.5 years living in my car in this project, I was living in downtown Akron, the city, and I found myself, sleeping in my car while there were people that were sleeping on the streets. And I quickly recognized that they were not there like myself, trying to grow and learn and doing a particular project, that they were there because they simply just weren't able to help themselves. And that became one of my goals, to give back. I want to help people who couldn't help themselves, who have gotten lost and need a helping hand. And so I wanted to help the homeless. And that became the big irony of that story, is that I purposely became a homeless person to become a better person, a better personal trainer, better for myself too. And so when I reconnected with my family, I had been away from my family for nearly 10 years. And when I reconnected with my family, I learned a very sad truth. That was also the missing piece of the puzzle in my life to all the questions that I had, of all the pain that I experienced as a child and adult, with a painful past. And I had learned from my brother that last time he had been in touch with my mom, which was about 4 years earlier, and for myself at that time was about 12 years, and hadn't seen her for about 18 years. But he had told me, my brother had told me that she was a street person suffering from what they thought was paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar, which later I learned it was schizoaffective disorder. And that became my mission, to end my project and move back into normal living. And a few months after the article came out, I did that. And my mission was then to find my mom. And a few months later, I was able to locate her in a homeless shelter. And that phone call was one that redefined my whole entire life of 38 years at that time, and realized that there were things that I told myself daily for my entire life, but in particular when I was sleeping in my car for 3.5 years, being extremely extra lonely and so forth, that every morning that I woke up in that car, it was like the first breath that I was awake to, I inhaled, and then I exhaled, nobody loves me. Every morning it was that. And I didn't have all the information. And when I talked to her, it was for sure very clear that I knew she was suffering from some sort of mental illness. And all the past pains that I had as a child and teenager was quickly redefined, that I had a story that I was telling myself that I thought, in particular my mom, and I thought both my parents, but mainly my mom, that they didn't love me. And I realized that that was not true, that they did indeed love me, and my mom was just ill. And by the way, in no way, I want to make it very clear, I absolutely love my mom. I absolutely love my dad. And actually with my dad, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't know about in society about mental illness and stuff back in the 80s and early 90s and 70s and so forth. But, I didn't know my dad's love language. And that's a whole different thing to go into another discussion. But there's certainly many things that we can learn from. And this is my message to put out to the world and bringing out to your cause, bring change to mind. I'm a super fan, as most guys are, I think, of the comic book world and the movie world. And I've been going to a counselor for 9 months, and we've been using cool tactics to help me break through with limiting belief structures by using comic book movie psychotherapy. And it's been very helpful and fun and entertaining, and there's a thing in myself, and I'm sure a lot of guys are like this, that we want to be superheroes and rescue, the knight in shining armor, that kind of thing. And in order to be a superhero, you have to have a supervillain. And in this particular reality here of what it is I'm trying to do, I'd like to be a superhero, and my supervillain that I'm taking on is the ignorance, lack of knowledge, understanding, to help in your mission to end the stigma about mental illness. My mother would be defined as natured mental illness, and I, being a child that was raised by a parent, untreated and undiagnosed by a parent with mental illness, became nurtured product of my environment. And all the things that I had, were not maybe genetic, but still very real. Depression, low self-esteem, anxiety. I had suicide thoughts and suicide attempts in my life, in my teens and my early 20s. I went to some dark places and learned many years later that a lot of this, that I had as challenges in my life was because of the environment that I had. And so I definitely love my parents, love who they are. So my supervillain that I want to take on, so to speak, the only person that if I were to say I was upset and angry is the lack of knowledge. And that's my mission with me as a personal trainer and the life coach. There are certainly things that you can do in your environment to improve what you have going on with someone that may be having experiences, with mental illness. And there's also just purely the knowledge is power, and giving other people a better understanding instead of a knee-jerk reaction to say this person is being a bad person, this person is being lazy, or this person is this, that, and the other. They're people, just like you and I. And maybe some things are wired a little different. Maybe there's some other things. But we need more people to be aware and get that knowledge out there. So that's my goal here with this video today, is to share with you some of the past pains that I've had and how I was able to use these things to realize that these were training for me to become a better person, to help someone else out there, and that someone else become a better person and help whoever that they have in their environment. And that's the beauty of our, species, is that the power of sharing. My most valuable lesson I learned from that story, the first story, is the power of sharing. As I shared, I wanted to inspire people with my story, and they then shared back with me with what they were going through, and I learned. And that's the beauty about all this. So anyway, I want to thank you for allowing me to share, and I'm sure that I'll be connecting with you more in the future, because this is something that's not just a one-time whim for me. Personal training, the workouts, the nutrition, the life coaching for me as a former bodybuilder, loving to challenge my body. I've been doing this since age 13. I'm 43 today, so it's a lifestyle for me. And the more I learn, the more excited I am to want to share and learn more. So I'll be in touch. So thank you for letting me share. And my number one goal is to hear how, in some way, I inspired you to do better. And I want to hear you come back and share bring change to mind, and bring your stories to me in my world, and I'd like to hear how you were able to overcome challenges and be triumphant and go forward. So anyway, thanks and good luck in your journey, and look forward to hearing from you. I'm Jeremy Smith. Take care now.